Welcome back to my channel. Every single one of us has some sort of addiction behavior that helps us get through life. And if you believe you have an addiction, I want you to know that you have it for a good reason. You want relief from the painful place that you're in. Breaking free from your addiction behavior takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength on your part, but I know you can do this. In this video, I will show you how to stop your addiction in 3 steps. So let's get started. Thanks for being here right now because I care about what you're working through. My name is Carol and I'm a life coach from carolcares.com who helps all teens and young adults work through their mental health challenges. If you are thinking about self-harming right now, please hit the video link above at any time during this video. In my first video on addiction, I talked about what an addiction is and how you know that you have one. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, I will link it at the end and also in the description box. I also shared in my first video that I was addicted to food. There was no amount of food that could get rid of my pain while I was growing up and continue to feel as an adult. And there was no amount of Netflix binging or vaping or weed or alcohol or gaming that's going to get rid of your pain or the anxiety and the stress or the depression that you're experiencing right now. And the hardest thing to admit is that you know it. You absolutely know it. I knew that my eating was out of control. I knew that I needed help because every time I overate to get rid of my pain, it never worked. It left me hating myself and so full of shame and guilt because I overate again. It's just like I kept repeating the same pattern over and over, hoping for a different result, but it never happened. And sometimes I would even try to switch addiction behaviors. I gave up the food, but I noticed that I started to use alcohol more, or I started to play games on my phone. So trying to give up the addiction cold turkey just didn't work for me either because I just found another one. So what happened was I finally came to know and accept that I had addictions for a reason. And I knew it. I was just trying to numb out my pain. And you're no different. Your behavior addictions are helping you to cope or numb out or deal with some pain that you need to look at. And only you can do that. There is no one else that can take your pain away for you. And that's why trying to focus on the addiction itself by trying to give it up doesn't work. That's not what's going to help you. And I know that there are a lot of programs out there to help you with giving up your addiction. And maybe some of them are helpful. But I can tell you only from experience that that's not what you need to focus on. You need to focus on what's underneath those addictions or what's making you have this addiction behavior in the first place. You are using your addiction as a means of surviving your day-to-day living. And I know how hard your struggle is. I know that some of you are in a lot of pain like I was. But I promise you that once you start to take a serious look at why you're having these addictions, and when you start to face your own pain that you so desperately are trying to avoid or numb out with behaviors or substances, you will free yourself from these addictions. Let me show you a way out of your pain. I want to show you how to stop your addiction in 3 steps. Step 1, admit that you have an addiction. You know you're addicted to something if it helps you cope with life, or it's hard to give up, and it affects your health, your relationships, and your behavior. And this is where the hard work's going to come in for you. This is where you have to take all your courage and all your strength, and you have to dig deep. And you have to get really honest with yourself and you just have to say, yeah, I got some shit that I have to deal with. And it's not easy dealing with your shit. It really isn't. You know that. It's a hell of a lot of work and it's freaking painful, but you can do it. I know you can. You have this addiction for a very good reason. Tell yourself that. And it's helping you get through life. But you have to want relief from that painful place you are in right now. Only you know how your addiction is affecting your behavior and your relationships around you. You just got to say to yourself, enough. I'm sick and tired of living my life like this. Now, I'm not asking you to give up your addiction or go cold turkey. There was nobody on this planet who could make me give up my sugar. I was in a lot of pain for years, and I needed the damn sugar to deal with my pain. So I would never ask you to give up your addiction. Some of you may be able to give it up as you work through these next 2 steps, but some of you may hold on to the addiction for a while as you work through the next few steps. And that is okay. I want you to have compassion for yourself for what you're working through. This is really hard work. And the last thing I want you to do is to shit on yourself for using again and messing up. I just want you to accept that you are addicted and admit that you've had enough and that you want a change in your life. This is a very hard step. Some of us aren't even ready to take this first step, and that's okay too. That's just where you are right now, and I'm glad you're listening to this video. Now let's go to the next step. Step 2. Become aware of what emotions you're covering up. What feelings or emotions are pulling you towards your addiction? Your addiction is providing you with temporary relief for you when you are feeling anxious or angry, stressed, humiliated, stupid, rejected, bullied, unloved, shamed, depressed, or judged. What feelings or emotions are you trying to cover up? This is such a hard step because most of you will want to turn to that addiction rather than feel. But this is where your pain comes from. You need to feel. This is why you have an addiction in the first place. You have to become aware of those feelings in order to express them. And that's not easy. This is where you have to dig really deep. What made you use again? What made you binge? Why can't you put your device down? Try to become aware of why you use drugs or why you compulsively work out, why you have to strive to get perfect on every test or be the best in your sport, because this is where your pain stems from. For some of you, it may be obvious. You may be able to say, yeah, so-and-so pissed me off, so I drank. They made me drink. And that's a gift. You're recognizing that you're drinking because you have anger. Another suggestion is right before you feel that urge or that craving to use any substance or do any activity that you know may be harmful, try to hold off for just a bit. I know that is so hard to do because when you're craving something, that magnetic pull can be so strong. But try it. Try to do it for just a little bit. See if you can do it for 5 seconds or 10 seconds or even more. And as you hold off from that addiction behavior, see if you can get a reason why you want to use. What's coming up for you? What are you feeling? Anger? Depression? Rejection? Shame? What is it? Or maybe the next day after you've had an episode or a day of binging or purging or using, try to ask yourself, what was it that brought you to that point? What were you feeling? You have this addiction because you have pain, and you need to allow these emotions that are coming up to be expressed. For example, if it is anger that needs to come out, then you need to allow this anger to express in a safe way. Once you express these emotions that you are feeling, you will start to feel less pain, and you'll begin to notice that the magnetic pull or the urge towards your addiction will lessen. It won't happen all at once. It's a really gradual process, but you have to allow your emotions to express. I can't say this enough, how important this step is to help you deal with your addictions. So when you become aware of an emotion or a reason like anger, depression, or anxiety that is making you turn towards your addiction, then you can start to work through these emotions. This will help you immensely. And if you need help dealing with different emotions as they come up, I have left links for different videos for you in the description box below. Again, it's going to take work on your part, but you can do this. And the next step will also help you out a lot. Step 3, pay attention to your emotional triggers. Now, maybe you're having a really hard time identifying why you spend hours binging, or why you can't get off your device, or why you need weed to cope with your anxiety. I know for me, I was overeating, but I wasn't sure why. I just know I did it all the time and I couldn't stop, and I hated myself for it. So I had a lot of shame because I had this problem around food, but I didn't even know what shame felt like at the time. Sometimes it's really hard to know what it is that's making us turn to our addictions. So this is what I did, and I recommend this for you. I started paying attention to my emotional triggers. Triggers are beautiful teaching moments. Yes, they're annoying, but they have a message or a lesson for you to learn. I actually did a great video on triggers, so I will link that at the end and also in the description box. Triggers will show you what is really bothering you and what you need to work on. So if you find that your anxiety kicks in and you need some weed to relax, then anxiety is what you need to work through. If someone triggers you and it brings up this feeling of not feeling good enough or smart enough, then you're dealing with shame, and that's the emotion that you need to work on. If someone pisses you off, you've just been triggered emotionally and you need to work through your anger. And there won't be just one emotion to work on. You may have several, but here's the key. As you continue to work through what your emotional triggers are bringing up for you, you will notice that you will begin to rely less and less on your addictions to get you through your pain because you've been dealing with the emotions that are around it. Try not to blame others for your feelings or your addiction because that will just take the focus off of you. So let's say a very significant relationship in your life ends and you become completely fixated on what this person did to you and how horrible you feel and how you just want to end your life. And I know that this can be excruciatingly painful, but try to keep the focus on you. What feelings are you feeling at that moment because of this breakup? Are you feeling rejection, loneliness, anger, hopelessness? Awareness is everything because this is the emotion that you need to express to help you with your addiction. But if you continue to get caught up by this story that has just taken over your life, you'll continue to get pulled into your addiction to deal with your pain. These are patterns that you want to become aware of. If you can't see your patterns or reasons for choosing your addiction, you will continue to carry around all this pain. As I worked through a lot of my feelings like shame and anger and hopelessness, my cravings for food actually lessened a lot. And now I don't binge like I used to, but I still crave sugar today, and sometimes I'll overeat, but not nearly as much as I used to. I no longer rely on food just to get me through the day. And when I find myself starting to overeat or binge, I know that there are emotions coming up that I need to look at in order to express them. So this is how to stop your addiction in 3 steps. Like I said, the magnetic pull that you feel towards your addiction will lessen gradually as you begin to express the emotions that you are feeling. This is not easy work, but I know you can handle it. It takes courage, dedication, and a whole lot of determination to tackle it, but it can be done. If you can go 5 minutes without your addiction, then 30, then an hour, then several hours, one day, you're progressing. This takes time. It's not easy. And if you slip up or you use again, you pick yourself up and you try again and again and again until you make it. And you will. But always remember to have compassion for yourself for what you are working through. You got this, even though you don't think you do. If you have any further questions about addictions or any other challenges that you may be facing right now, please go to my website, carolcares.com, and on the Ask Carol page, you can fill out a form to send me a question. You can also follow me on Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And please let others know about my channel so that they can get the help that they need. Until next time, stay safe. Bye for now.